And welcome to the Part-Time Nerd Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Alan, here to break down all things nerdom for you guys. We're talking movies, TV shows, comic books, just whatever it is we want to talk about. Today, we're breaking down the highly anticipated movie Black Widow that just came out in theaters yesterday after what seems like a 3-year delay. Disney finally decides, let's go ahead and release it. They really wanted to do this as a theater experience. So things have just gotten to where people are going back out to the movies and everything. So here we go. Black Widow came out. Let's go ahead and talk about it. As always, guys, spoilers are coming up. We will be having spoilers. So if you haven't watched the movie yet, stop now. Hit the like button and then come back after you've watched the movie. I'm not giving you a full breakdown of the movie. I'm just going to give you a quick overview of it, my thoughts, things I liked about it, things I didn't like, Easter eggs that I saw, and kind of what this movie is setting up. So let's go ahead and get into it. Black Widow it's a prequel kind of for Natasha Romanoff is what it is. It gives you a little bit more of her backstory. It gives you the Budapest story with her and Clint. It gives you what was she doing. This movie takes place after the events of Civil War. So what was Natasha doing during that period after Civil War, as she was a wanted fugitive for violating the Sokovian Accords? And that's kind of where this movie takes in. In this movie, your main characters, you've got, of course, Natasha Romanoff. You've got her sister Milena, and the two characters that were her mom and dad. They were they were all agents for Russia, and they played her parents when they were in the sleeper cell here in the U.S. when she was younger. But you've got Alexei, aka the Red Guardian, played by David Harbour, which was amazing. I absolutely loved him. He was the highlight of the movie. My favorite character. Every scene he was in, he completely stole, and those were my favorite scenes. Everything that had him in it. And then Milena, who played their mother in this. But it's about the story of her taking down the Red Room. If you don't know what the Red Room is, it's where the Black Widows are created. It's controlled by a guy named Dreykov there in Russia, and Black Widow's working on taking down the Red Room, and just ending all of that. We're going to go ahead. You find out the Budapest mission that we find out about was Natasha's final thing that she had to do in order to completely defect from Russia over to becoming an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. And what she had to do was she had to kill Dreykov. That's what you find out. You get a brief cameo of Hawkeye in this when they're kind of showing flashbacks to that. And when she did that, she had to use essentially Antonia, which was Dreykov's daughter, as almost kind of as bait. Had them in the building. They were there together and blew the building up. You thought she killed them, but she didn't, and that's where this movie is going. They've got all of these Black Widows under mind control, and they had gotten this mind control chemical, the way to control these girls by stealing it back in the 80s when they were part of that sleeper cell. That was their main mission here. They broke into S.H.I.E.L.D., stole this, which at that time S.H.I.E.L.D. was Hydra, and they talk about that. And that's what they used to control these people. Control these girls, and so much so where they have 100% control over everything they do. And Milena kind of gives an example of that as she's talking to Black Widow and her sister and explaining, what it is they stole and what they did. And she brought this pig in that she can completely control, and she told the pig, stop breathing, and the pig couldn't breathe. And that's just kind of an idea of the effects and the type of control that they had over these girls. So they're trying to go through and stop that. In the meantime, they're running into Taskmaster. This was the big MCU debut of Taskmaster, and it was a different version of Taskmaster. In the comics, it's a guy, and he has completely free will. He's kind of a trainer. He's got the ability to mimic any fighting style and things like that. And he kind of goes good, bad, mostly bad. In this, it turns out it's the big twist is Taskmaster is actually Antonia, Dreykov's daughter, who Natasha thought she had killed all these years, but he was actually able to save her. got her under that control. He's got like a chip implanted in the back of her head, and essentially they can, with the nav screen that's on the helmet, they can completely program in, and she can watch all these people's fighting styles and completely mimic them and break them down as she's fighting them. And you see the examples of this on the screen, and it's just, again, it's just a completely different take. Marvel, the MCU took a lot of liberties in this and completely made it something that wasn't of the comics. I liked it. I thought the Taskmaster was pretty cool. She's pretty much unstoppable. She's almost like she's got super soldier type abilities. Got the strength and all that, the speed, quickness. But I definitely enjoyed her. I mean, she was completely unstoppable. In every fight that she was in, she didn't lose one fight. The kind of way they stopped her was Natasha was able to get her helmet off and be able to hit her with a chemical that would release her from the mind control. But it was fun. It was enjoyable. Some Easter eggs that you had in it. You had a callback. If you're one of those who pays attention to every single detail in the movies, back in the movie Avengers, Loki was talking to Black Widow, and it's kind of a way to kind of mess with her mind. Black Widow was, kind of telling him, hey, look, I've got a lot of red I'm trying to undo. And Loki said, that's a lot of red. Can you undo it all? Dreykov's daughter. So it was a mention to Dreykov's daughter back in the first Avengers movie when he was going up against Black Widow, was talking to her. So that was really in the plans this whole time. And, Avengers came out how many years ago? So we finally get that. You kind of get a little bit of payoff to that. It, yeah, enjoyable movie. Definitely liked it. You've got an end credit scene here. Make sure you stick around, pay attention for the end credit scene. But with the end credit scene, you have the return of the character played by Julie Louis-Dreyfus, Contessa Valentina, blah, 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 blah. It's a big, long last name. And you saw her in Falcon and Winter Soldier. And you had her recruiting U.S. agent John Walker for her team. Well, in this, at the end of the movie, you get all the way to current time in the MCU, and you have Milena visiting Natasha's grave. And as she's there, you have Contessa walks up and is talking to her, and you find out that the two of them have been kind of working together. She's been working for Contessa throughout this period. Who knows for how long? You don't really know. But she's telling her she's got a new mission for her, and the mission is to get revenge on the person responsible for her death. And then she shows her a picture of Hawkeye, showing her this is who's responsible for your sister's death. You want a chance at revenge. Which, if you've seen the Marvel movies Endgame, Natasha sacrificed herself. Clint wasn't at all responsible for her dying. He was trying to sacrifice herself. He was trying to sacrifice himself. She beat him to it. So I think that's going to lead into, they've already said Milena is going to be showing up in future endeavors and movies and things like that. I think you're going to end up seeing her in the Hawkeye series that's going to be coming out on Disney Plus. I think later this year it's coming out, but I think you might see her in there trying to exact some revenge on Clint, whatever that mission is. But you'll definitely be seeing the two of them butt heads here shortly. And this leads to, Julie Contessa, she's building what's either going to be maybe like the Thunderbolts team or maybe a Dark Avengers team. And she's essentially recruiting polar opposites of the Avengers. So in the Avengers, you have Captain America. Well, she recruited her version of Captain America, John Walker, U.S. agent. Avengers have Black Widow. She recruited her sister. What's going to come up next? Possibly you could see the Abomination, which if you've seen the trailer for Shang-Chi, you know that there's an appearance of Abomination. He's fighting Wong in that movie. So is she going to recruit him as kind of her Hulk? And where do you go from there? What other characters are going to be recruited for this Dark Avengers / Thunderbolts team? Is the Taskmaster going to be part of that team? Because as the movie ends, they've released her from her mind control, and she leaves with Milena and the other Black Widows that they freed. So Taskmaster's still around. So will Taskmaster show up in that as well as kind of they're a little bit more of an edgier superhero group, essentially. They'll take on some tasks that, maybe the normal superheroes wouldn't do. as far as like maybe like killing and things like that. But I'm curious to see what she's building there. Is she building a team of bad guys? Is she building a team of good guys? Where's it going? What are we going to get? I'm definitely looking forward to that. Keeping my eyes on that. I like Julie Louis Dreyfus contested the character. She plays her pretty good, pretty funny. Um, Not like intentionally funny. It's just the way she is. She's very blunt to the point. Um, Enjoying it. But all in all, guys, go check it out. That's really all I got for this review. It's a good movie. The action sequences are good. There's not a ton of slow parts. They're broken up. Some of those slow parts are broken up by the David Harbour's character, the Red Guardian. He provides some good comic relief in it, but like not just trying to be funny. It's just the way his character is. He's just very about himself, wants to make sure, he's very braggadocious. When he finally meets back up with Black Widow, one of the very first things he asked her is, "Hey, has he ever talked about me?" And she's like, "What? Who's talked about you? Has he?" She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, "Captain America. Has he ever mentioned me? Has he ever talked about me? What?" And she's like, "Oh my gosh, you're kidding me. I haven't seen you in this many years, and this is the first thing you want to bring up. You want to try and pad your ego, whatever." And he's like, "Well, I'm just, I always kind of consider us contemporaries, not really an arch enemy or anything like that, but maybe like some mutual respect type thing." It's just he's funny, he's great. I love him. Looking forward to him coming back in some future MCU uh, appearances, whether it's movies, TV shows. I don't care. Let's just work him into there because his character was awesome. He was funny. I definitely enjoyed it. That's all I got for you guys today. Go check out The Black Widow. You're definitely going to enjoy it. Uh, and I'll be back on Wednesday with my pal Rocky, talk about that show. Is that set future Marvel? Is it setting up MCU movies, TVs? What do we got going on there? We'll get into that. And then Fridays, we're back for Bad Batch reviews. But hey, guys, until next time, I'm Alan. Deuces.